All right, hey there. Sam here with you. It's Monday, the 25th of February. I'm going to take a little more detailed look at Bitcoin. So, before I forget here, but before we get into this, my marketing guys, I gotta do this. So we still have this contest going. It's 23 days left until the drawing where we're giving away these membership prizes here. The link will be underneath this video. You do have to just click it once, register via an email and your Twitter handle, and then every like, retweet, share gets you another entry. So we've got, boy, at this point we've got thousands. So if you want to increase your potential for the win here, that's how you do it, right? So likes, tweets, reshares, every one of those gets you a new entry, right? So random drawing will be in 23 days, and then we need to be able to notify you, thus the email. We're not gonna spam you. Okay, guys. With that, let's get over to Bitcoin now. You know, this price action over the weekend is very easy to look at that and think, oh, okay, well, bull run failed. There's the ABC. Down we go. Well, I'm not ready to go there just yet. I think I don't have to think. I can tell you based on Elliott rule set here that we have the bullish count is still intact here. So just reviewing here, just briefly before we get into this. A part of the premise here is we just look at this range here. This is just range expansion, right? I call it the wolf range. So from the swing high, swing low, we've done an exact doubling of that range down here. Thus the thinking, plus we had a very long-term algo target down here at 3,200. You know, I mean, I'm still not ready to give up on this count. So the idea being that we completed the WXYXZ down here with this range doubling. And now if that's going to hold, well, we've gone 1, 2, and there's a very real potential here that we've just gone 1, 2. Now the 2 may not be finished just yet, and we're going to look at that. But you know, it's just too soon to get ultra bearish here, even though that was, it's certainly disappointing to bulls to see that drop come so hard and so aggressively. I think that was one of the, well, certainly it was the deepest retracement or sell-off or panic selling we've had for this year. It was abrupt and it was fast. So let's go look at it. So let's go down. Let's try a 2 hour here. Well, and I just referenced this over on Twitter here. Let me open this up a bit so we can see it a little better. All right. So in the bullish count here, the idea would be that we put in a 1. We had, excuse me. Here's the ABC of the 2, and at this point, we've just put in that we have a clear impulse here. Potentially, not just the 1 and the 2's going in. Now, this may not be the 2 here. We may not be done with that 2, but that there's no reason to abandon that just because we had this abrupt sell-off. Very technical. You see here, as I was demonstrating over on Twitter here, I'm just using just the obvious pivots here. So we're in this range that's very structurally oriented. Here's the supply, here's the demand. So, you know, I mean, just start looking at the components here. So if I'm using the three dominant pivots here, I've got this beautiful trend line here. The median lines are giving me just a gorgeous trend line, which held. We went literally into the lips of the Vegas wave, just perfect retrace. We find support. Now, at least here on, let me zoom in here so you can see this. On most exchanges, it's to the tick. I mean, with the proposed wave 1 here, this retrace, so just talk about good structure, doesn't overlap, right? Holds it to the tick. Now here, I'm on Coinbase Pro here. I've not seen one where it broke. So just beautiful structural trading. So now there was, excuse me, there was some thinking. There was the potential. Let me come here. Least favorite feature of TradingView. Okay, there was some potential as we got up here, that there was a little micro count in here. So I think I referenced this on Friday's video. Now let me get that degree down here. That'll work. So there was a contender here because this was so technical. So if we take the length of the 1 from the proposed wave 2, you can see we went right into this pocket here, right where you'd anticipate the wave 3, right between the 1618 and 175, highest probability zone for the wave 3. But the depth of this, so the thought at that time looked like, oh, maybe we've got our wave 3, we'll get something along these lines, and then we'll push up for the 5. Well, that's not what we get. Now, so technically, we can't invalidate this count because with the wave one pivot holds. But the depth of this is so dramatic. Odds are that we've completed. So the other count is more likely to have held here. So this would be, oh, if we're going to put the sub count in here, we do it. Let me hang on a second. I'm complicating here. So let me bring this back. So my favorite feature again. Okay, so here's this looks so much like wave 4 activity here, tendency as we just move sideways, and then we got the kick higher. So I'm inclined to think this is the 4 here. Now the 5 is in, and we've completed the impulse here. So let me get this so it's just easier to see and pull this off. So now, so you could look at that and say, oh, well, wouldn't that be just textbook if we went to the 1618, 175? Wouldn't that be an ideal location for the C wave here? So if we're thinking about some of the bearish alternatives, that maybe it was just A, B, and we went up for the C, and essentially we double topped here, and now we're going down to test, well, at the very least, test these lows and perhaps go to much lower levels. I'm not ready to go there for a couple of reasons, and we'll get to the bearish count here, but just right off the bat, the length of that C relative to the AB, I wouldn't be leaning into that. If we're going to go bearish, I think this is much more likely just the one wave of the C wave relative to the size of the A and the B. That would be my first assessment of it. But I'm going to stick here on this bullish count. So if this is 1, 2, and we've got a completed 1 here, which hard to argue with that. Perfectly technical retracement. So swing low, swing high, retracing that entire impulse. Well, we've come through the 50, right? We hold the pivot holds it. We don't challenge the golden zone. So we're certainly in that location where you'd anticipate. Now, what's I think is more likely is that we get a little more complexity here for the 2. So if we're going to come back down and retest this pivot, and I don't, of course, don't know that we are, but it wouldn't be that surprising to see us do something like this. So let's see if we can put that together. So if this is the A that's gone in, and we're looking for a B, so A, B down for the C. Now we don't know where that goes. Here the algo target and the golden zone very close to one another, and then you see all this structure. Here's the point of control. So this wouldn't be outrageous at all. If we're going to go 1 A, B, C into a 2, we could break the golden zone. We know so sorry, anywhere from the 50 to the 786. Hang on a second. Sorry, if I do move from Austin, it will be because the allergies are so bad. Anyway, back to the point here. A, B, C for a 2. Why? There's no reason for that not to. Again, if you're bullish, sure, the speed of this was unusual, and it was just a free fall. So week longs, just stops getting hit, likely on the way down. Who knows what's behind that? A whale comes and dumps some size, likely. It was a lot of volume that came in here, so a lot of selling. But the fact that we hold here, I think keeps this count alive. So we shall see, of course. Now, would I be a buyer here? No, I wouldn't be a buyer. Not a buyer here yet. Now, I wouldn't be trading the A into the B. Now, if you're a short-term scalper, you're after 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks with high leverage, I'll have at it. It's just not how I would do it. I want to see what kind of do we get. Well, what does this move look like? Do we get a 3 here? Do we hold that location where we'd anticipate the B wave if we're going to get one? And do we roll back over, come down and test this range? Then if we do that, now granted, we will have broken the trend line if we're going to come down that far. Right now this says we have to, but if we're going to come down that far, well, then you'd be popping on the next level up. So let me get that on there. Just where's my 1.5? There we go. Okay, so that'd be, here's our 1.5. So if we think about the structure there, it's point of controls right here at the target. I just don't think you need to abandon the bullish case just yet. Now, not that it's. It may not be a raging bull, but the bullish perspective here and the bullish Elliott count is still intact. So until we, well, essentially until we break this low down here at 33.37, at least on Coinbase Pro, bullish count stays alive. Now you would like to see it hold over the 786, of course. So if we're going to break the golden zone, point of control, anything like that, I would like to see that hold. That certainly gives you the opportunity to be a buyer here. Well, here's your first algo target. If we're going to get a true wave 3, that's going to be much higher. So too soon to get ultra bearish on this, just because we had this abrupt sell-off. It's very, look, right? We've not the first time we've seen it. So sorry. Here. It's just very typical of Bitcoin. While there's all this volatility and nervous money is in here. So what causes that? Likely, weak longs are trailing, maybe, and stops are behind it. And as it goes down, I'm sure the fills were ugly on the way down. I was not in it, now, nor did I sell it up there for a short. So, bulls. Right, stay optimistic here. No reason to get ultra bearish. Now, with that, let's go look at the bearish side of it. Now, I've switched exchanges. I'm over on Bitfinex, where we do have this pump over here. So if you see it, let's go back here. We had a much bigger pump here. So that would be this pivot here was much more extreme on Finex here. So, but just to give you the context, right? So this is actually a better look at it. So if we're working off of the idea that we've gone 1, so the bearish count would have us going 1, 2, we put in the 3, here comes the 4. Triangle idea is still very much alive. We maybe come down here for that 5. So that would have us finishing down here. Well, can't eliminate this either. Now, one thing I do look for is the idea of symmetry. So if we're going to stay with this idea of this 4, now we don't know if that's the C of an ABC, or we're going to come down and we're going to continue to work through the triangle. The triangle has been the dominant thinking. So if I look at that length of time and the size of that 4, and then I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to clone it. I'm just going to kind of compare over here. How do we look over here? Well, it's not so radical here that whether we do an ABC and we just get a shallow C, whether we stay with the triangle, it still works. So I'm not ready to abandon the idea here that we might come down here. Now we'd be back. Here's that 2200 long-term target. So note what we did, if that, as it relates here to Bitfinex, if I'm using this pull here for the 2 to the 3, we came to the 23.6, right? I mean, damn near to the tick. So if we're going to do this, if we're going to come D, E, and then we're going to get one more, again, I'm just using the first target here. I'm not saying that's where we're going, but that wouldn't be unreasonable to finish this way. If this is going to stay sideways, which it certainly could, and we're going to complete this triangle, God darn it, so sorry guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, down for the 5. Right, can't eliminate that either. So at some point we're going to break out of this range. Right now the range we're in is being defined by just prior pivots. Right? We're just getting this clear supply and demand. So this next move here will be a bit of a tell. What kind of structure does it take? Where are we going to run into the resistance? But even with that, if we start to come back down again, well, of course, bears are going to look at that and think, oh, 1, 2, and here comes the 3, and we're heading much lower, right? So you can see that perspective. If this is A, B, and we've got a completed impulse here, shit, could be the C. So you could go 1, 2, 3. Well, if we're going to get a true third here would be the negative 100. So if that's going to be the thirds, 4, 5, what's it going to be? So with that, if it's going to go impulsive, if this were going to be the 4 over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, we're going to have either an extension in the 3 or the 5. Well, if that's the 1, 2, 3, and the 5 to go challenge some of those lower levels. I don't know that that's necessarily guaranteed. This would be back down to 3,000. Too soon to get overly bullish or overly bearish. Right, sure, that's disappointing for bulls, but not to where we've invalidated anything. So I think it's a little bit of a hurry up and wait here. Now there will be an opportunity if you're comfortable shorting with Bitcoin from the B to the C. That because you won't know, and we won't know till we see the result, if it's a 1-2 or an AB. So the short here that's setting up is definitely potentially a trade here. I wouldn't give it much beyond the 786. I'd be a little tighter on that and be realistic about that target here. So maybe a partial profit. So we know we're going to get some support down here at the golden zone if we come down and challenge it. But if we get through it, that algo target is right there. So that might be a place for a partial if you were to catch that swing, knowing that it could come down here. So this would be your wave 3 target. You'd be right back here to those double bottoms, to this prior low. You're likely to get some support, or some buyers will be down there looking to buy into the idea we had a double bottom. So if it's going to finish as a 3, we're going to get something like this, and then we're going to come down. What will fuel that, if we get the 3-4 as we come down here, there will be a ton of stops sitting underneath that. So if they break that, they get the fuel of those stops. We could finish like that. But then again, the symmetry doesn't look great there. If you pull out and think about that as, what would we be finishing there? Is that 3-4? Well, that's not likely to be 5 relative to the size of the prior swings. Shit, if that's 4, I suppose that could be 1-2. That could be 1-2, and we're going down to test $1,000. I think that's much less likely. I'm wrong all the time. So, you got to prepare for that, right? It just becomes a matter of the trades are going to be here. It's just now you got to be disciplined about money management. Right? That's always the name of the game. So you can express your sentiments here, but as the market sets up technically, because they're going to be technical buys, technical sells, money management will be the key skill here that will be tested as we have so much uncertainty here. So if you're in it and you're trading it and you're swing trading in here, I'd be very disciplined with stops, and I'd be realistic about targets, because this could go either way. Right? So there you go. It's going to be interesting. Right? Let's be interesting by Wednesday what kind of definition, what kind of reaction we've seen, or are we just still sitting in the same range? Right. Okay, guys, that's it for now. I'll be back to you later.